All right, let's dive into a question that sounds super simple on the surface. If you're a student, a researcher, or just someone who's curious about cutting-edge science, you might have wondered, at a big university like Dalhousie, how many students are actually publishing quantum research?
So let's just lay it out there. How many students at a university, we'll use Dalhousie as our example, are getting their names on actual quantum research papers? It feels like a number a university should have right on hand, right? A clear sign of success in a really exciting field.
Well, the answer, believe it or not, is basically a giant question mark. We just don't have a number. And look, it's not because the information is some big secret. It's because the whole system for tracking this kind of thing, it just doesn't work the way most of us assume it does.
Yep, you heard that right. It is pretty much impossible to give an exact head count. And this isn't some failure in reporting data. It's actually baked into the very way academic achievements are tracked. So the real question isn't what's the number, but why doesn't that number even exist?
And this brings us right to the heart of the matter. We need to understand how research is actually measured inside a university. And the key thing to get here is that it's not about counting individual heads.
So here's the big misunderstanding. We tend to think universities are keeping a careful tally of every single student author in a specific field. But the reality? They count something else entirely. They're looking at the total number of publications from a research group, and then they lump those into a really broad subject area. They're not focused on who the individual authors are.
So let's break it down point by point. First off, universities just don't publish this specific stat. Their main focus is the publication itself, not the student's name as a data point. Now, of course, the student's involvement is recorded, but it's buried inside each individual paper, one by one. And hey, this isn't just a Dalhousie thing. Even huge national reports on the quantum field don't get down to this level of detail.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Research output is usually counted by publications, not by individual students in those specific fields. You see? The whole system is built to measure the work that's produced, not the individual worker who helped produce it.
But let's be super clear here. Just because there's no simple number, that does not mean students aren't doing incredible research. Oh, they absolutely are. For instance, at Dalhousie, students are contributing to papers in top-tier journals on subjects like the quantum simulation of molecules. The work is definitely there. We just need a better way to see it.
And that leads us perfectly into our next section. If a simple number doesn't exist, how can you find the real story? Well, it turns out you just need the right toolkit.
So let's reframe our goal. Instead of hunting for some magic number that isn't there, let's ask a better question. How can you get a genuine feel for what's really happening? How can you actually see the level of student involvement in quantum research at a place like Dalhousie?
The answer is actually a simple three-step method that anyone can use. Think of it as your own personal detective kit for academic research. First, we're going to go straight to the source and find the specific research groups. Second, we'll do some digging in the university's own digital library. And third, we're going to cast a wider net with some powerful search engines.
Okay, tool number one. Instead of searching the main university website, you've got to get specific. Look for the actual labs and research groups. For example, a quick search for the ultra-fast quantum control group at Dalhousie will take you right to their homepage, where you can see the people, both faculty and students, and all the work they're publishing.
Next up, tool number two, the university's institutional repository. At Dalhousie, this is called DalSpace, and it's basically a digital treasure trove. You can just hop on there, search for a term like quantum, and find theses and papers where students are listed right there as authors. It's direct evidence of their contributions.
And finally, tool number three. Broaden your search with a powerhouse like Google Scholar. Here, you can combine keywords like quantum with an affiliation like Dalhousie University to see a huge spectrum of published work and discover the names of both faculty and, you guessed it, student co-authors.
So, we started with a simple question and ended up with a pretty complex reality, which leads to a final thought. Does the simplest question always have the best answer? In this case, chasing a single number would have told us almost nothing, but by learning how to look, we uncovered a much richer, more accurate story of all the great research students are doing. Kind of makes you wonder, what other simple questions out there might be hiding a more interesting truth?